ready to Ignite Humanity Live. I'm your host, Lady JB Owen, and I'm so happy to be here talking on this wonderful Wednesday about inspiration. How can we be inspired? How can we be feeling more and more energized and motivated so that we are inspiring others to ignite humanity? Well, I love talking about that get off the couch moment when you just feel like it's time, I'm ready, I'm going after it, I'm going to do something, and get motivated and inspired to take action in your life. And why? Well, because when you take action, you inspire others to take action. And that, folks, ignites humanity. It creates this ripple effect that allows people to do and be in the very best version of themselves. And truly, I believe that that's where we should all be. That's the importance and the excitement about being in humanity, feeling motivated and inspired, and really making a difference in our lives and the lives of others. Well, it's going to be a motivating day today. We have a great guest today talking to Nick. Klingensmith is a distinguished figure in motivational speaking and sales, where his journey from personal adversity to professional excellence stands as a testament to resilience. Overcoming significant health challenges, including cancer and diabetes, he's used his experience in obstacle course racing to fuel his professional achievements. As a sales expert, Nick specializes in empowering professionals and leaders to overcome psychological barriers and achieve their full potential. His proven method in performance enhancement and resilience training have made him a respected authority in professional development. And Nick shares his remarkable journey to foster success and resilience in others. We love having him here. Please welcome Nick to the show. Welcome, welcome.
Good afternoon.
Yes. All right. Well, I got all nice, excited, and heated on your bio, and all warmed up, and really interested in this conversation. I love motivation. I love inspiration. I love taking action. Let's talk a little bit about that and what you do to motivate others.
Absolutely. Let me first share with you my Ignite moment. The moment I was literally on the couch. It was a Friday evening in 2016. And earlier that day, my boss walks into my office and he looks at me and says, "Nick, I want to do a Spartan race and I want you to do it with me." And I looked up at him and I was like, no, no, heck no. An 8 to 10 mile trail run with obstacles? That seemed miserable to me. I had no intention of making myself that uncomfortable. And I went home that night. And that's when I discovered the problem. I already was uncomfortable. I reflected upon my life. And at that point, I was a 4-time cancer survivor. I'm type 1 diabetic. I have 7 herniated discs from 2 different rollover fatality car accidents. I almost died from meningitis. I have sleep apnea. I have nerve damage. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I feel like I'm missing something. And at that particular moment, I actually had everything going for me. I had just been promoted at work. I was dating a new girl that's my now wife. And I had actually just decisively beaten cancer for the 4th time. But something was missing. I needed to make a change. I just didn't know what it was. And it occurred to me that I actually had not overcome any of my adversity. As a matter of fact, I didn't look at it like adversity. I looked at it like an adversary. I looked at it like something that I had been victimized of my entire life. And I was lying on the couch, literally on the couch, surrounding myself with this metaphorical bubble that I had created for myself, full of lies, full of excuses, full of doubt, all the stuff that I had been telling myself. And so I decided my change was just going to just start by saying yes to the race. It was 9 weeks away. I committed to training. I committed to taking the action. I had no idea that 7 years later, I would be 1 month away from completing my 100th Spartan race. I've completed 6 major marathons, including Boston, Chicago, New York, and Berlin. I've run over 50, maybe even 60 other 5K, 10K, Sufferfest, obstacle course, endurance events, etc. And throughout that journey is really when I began to realize the lessons from my life. And I spent about 2 years working on my book, Through the Fire. And the first version was like a 125,000 word ego manifesto. All right. It might as well have had Jake Gyllenhaal playing Nick Klingensmith. My character had no flaws. It might as well have been fiction. But when I spent that second year revising and revising and revising, and cutting away the lies that I was telling myself. That's when I began to see myself in a different perspective. And I had realized all of the limitations that I had put on myself and that I was what's standing in my way to living a better life. It was at that point that I realized not only had I overcome my adversity, but that I can overcome any adversity.
Whoa, I love it. Ding, 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 ding. Fantastic. What a beautiful, 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 beautiful story, because so many of us get wrapped up in the victim state of our lives, and we never take that moment to decide this is the moment for us to become the hero in our own experience. I love it. I love it. Let's unpack it a little bit. First of all, gone through some major health situations, major health crisis, and you were sort of looking at your life, realizing it was time to make a change. And I really appreciate that and love to go back to that moment. What was the spark? What was the impetus? What was the thing that made you push through the resistance? Because I talk about it a lot. There's this resistance barrier that we hit up all the time: procrastination, ice cream, going to the fridge, sleeping in a little bit longer. Netflix is so much easier than pushing through the resistance barrier. Was there something you could share with our audience that could help them be more like, okay, here's my moment and I'm going to go for it?
Number one, the open-mindedness aspect, right? Or actually, I'm going to go before that. And this is what I actually work with a lot of my clients on, is this. We spend a lot of time on the self-reflection. We have to strip away the stuff that we've been telling ourselves. I think as adults, as professionals, as achievement-driven individuals, we reach plateaus in our life. We reach some sort of achievement, whether it be professional or personal, and then we stop playing offense. And we immediately become defensive to hold on to everything that we have. And the way that we defend that, I'm not even going to say the word excuses. The way that we defend that is with lies. We lie to ourselves. We lie to other people. We become, instead of being constant students, constant adventurers, constant learners and explorers, we become ego defenders. For me, it was that moment of self-reflection to realize a few things. Number one, I was scared. I had never admitted, before I wrote my book, I never admitted that I was scared when I had cancer. I never admitted until now that I was scared to stop drinking, what my life would be like. Fear is everywhere in our lives. And the first thing that we need to do to overcome it is to name it, to accept it, to realize that I am afraid. I am afraid of losing what I have. I am afraid of not getting what I don't have. I am afraid that my reality isn't reality. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to admit and accept these things, because the moment they do, they lose that power over us. Let me tell you about a tangible fear that I have. I am deathly afraid of snakes.
Me too. Me too. Yes, me too.
And you know where I spend my weekends?
Don't tell me.
Racing in swamps and mud-infested race courses. There are snakes, there are poisonous snakes, there are gators, literally gators on the course in the Florida race this year. And my first race experience, and I'll ask you a question. When was the last time you went outside and played without worrying about getting your pants dirty?
Well, you and I are very similar, because I like to get outside. I get on my bike with my husband every summer, and we cycle 20, 30, 40, 79 days on our tandem bicycle from Canada to Alaska, Canada to Mexico. But I will share this with you. I really want to be on Survivor. I've declared it. I've told everyone I want to be on Survivor, but I'm scared. I'm scared of sleeping on the bamboo. I'm scared of the ants and the bugs and the sand fleas. I am scared of all of the things, but at the same time, I'm so exhilarated by the idea. I want to do some training with you so I can get into shape. I already was thinking like mud, sweat, and tears. I need to do some of those races and some of those mud runs to be prepared for Survivor. But yeah, talk a little bit about that, because I agree with you. Not enough of us are being willing to look foolish, look silly, get dirty, scrape our knees, fall down, not know what we're doing, and still go forward.
And the not know what we're doing part. Like, when did we get into our heads that we had to know everything? Being an adult sucks because we decide it does. The fact that I'm starting a relatively new business venture, I love not knowing things. I love not having to convince everybody in my field that I am the single expert in my field anymore. I love the fact that as a professional motivational speaker, I've been at it 5 whole months. because I'm not worried about defending my ego. I'm worried about presenting a message. I'm worried about helping people. But that's not where I was at the time. And so I mentioned the thing about getting out there in the world because that's what my first race experience was. It was the most liberating thing I had ever done. I talked about a victim mentality for a while. For most of my life, it was me against the world. You can't be against the world unless you feel you have been victimized by the world.
Right.
Well, I wasn't anymore. It was me in the world, experiencing the world. I had no more enemies that day. And when I jumped the fire and came through the fire that first time, it was like graduating college. I had a blank space in front of me. I literally had no more things, no more of this nonsense that I had created for myself holding me back. And you got to understand, I didn't expect to change my life. I signed up for one race. I expected to run one race. So for 9 weeks, the most uncomfortable decision I had ever made in my life was setting my alarm for 5 a.m. to train before work.
Right.
That was the hardest thing I had to do. And when I did that, I started waking up to train. I found that my mornings were more intentional. I felt less reactive, less rushed. I had more time to walk my dog in the morning. I was more at peace with myself. Then because I wanted to get up consistently, I had to go to bed consistently. And at 36 years old, I treated myself to the first ever regular sleep cycle I had ever had.
Wow.
I wanted
Blessings. That changes everything.
Well, then I wanted to continue to train, right? So I started stretching. I wanted to get mentally tougher. So I started meditating. And throughout that process, there was a change in me. And it was a mental and physical and spiritual change. I was actually becoming a better version of myself. And the way that I know this was through other people, because the way that other people would react to me. And I remember specifically one of my subordinates even told me, he was like, man, I used to think you were such a dick. I laughed and I'm like, wow, this guy's got some stones. All right. I laughed at it and I appreciated the candor and it felt great. But then I had my second ignite moment. And that was when I had the second car accident. 7 months after I started obstacle course racing, I was hit by another car.
Oh, no.
I got more herniated disc, more nerve damage. My Jeep was ruined. My cat of 12 years died that day. 10 days later, the lady who hit me died. And even though all I was doing was sitting at a red light, that's hard to carry.
Absolutely.
And so I'm lying again on the couch and I wanted to quit. The only thing is I didn't know how. I think a lot of people say, I want to give up, I want to quit, but yet I still keep going to work. I still getting up and brushing my teeth and taking showers and meeting my responsibilities. You just keep moving forward. And I decided to sign up for another race. And I had this moment of conflict because I was trying to decide who I was. Here I was thinking that all this beautiful life I was creating for myself was suddenly being taken away. And that's when I realized I was still playing the victim. And that's when I had to make a decision, like a rebellious teenager, that I will not be the victim, that I will not be defined by my adversity, but rather my triumph over it. And honest to God, from that moment on, I don't go looking for trouble, but I'm prepared for it. I'm dealing with a health issue right now. I give myself 1 day to sulk. That day ended about 3 hours ago. And now I'm ready to get after it. And the reason I know for a fact that I will get through this is because so far there is no evidence to the contrary.
That's right. Amen. I love that. Absolutely. 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 It's all what we imagine, we perceive, we conceive. It's all so true. And I love that you have decided to look past all of the assignments that have been given to you and looking more towards your divine assignment, which is really, truly motivating others. I can feel it. I feel motivated. I'm excited. I want to get up tomorrow morning and start training again. I really, really, really appreciate that. Some tools, give us some tools. What can our listeners or viewers try today, tomorrow, try right now that they can build into their own lives that will move them forward in this direction towards these goals that they're making?
All right. First and foremost, I don't care how cliche this sounds. Do something uncomfortable. Do something uncomfortable. I don't care if it's go for a walk. All right. Like get up off the couch physically. Stop what you're doing. We're live right now. All right. If you miss the next 2 minutes, I'm sure you can catch the recording somewhere.
Yeah, get up and dance. Move your body. Wiggle around.
Hell yeah, do that. But take an action in your life, any action. I think part of the problem, and I'm glad we're doing this on StreamYard, because on any other platform, you would see my hundreds of medals behind me. I don't want people to look at me and think that I do something they can't. Remember, it started with one race. It started with one alarm clock. All right. I did one thing that was uncomfortable, which was sign up for a race. A lot of people sign up for races and don't do anything about it. So the next thing I did that was uncomfortable was start waking up early. Every one of these incremental steps opens up endless possibilities. I did not choose to run 100 races. I've run one race 100 times. You know, I had no idea I would ever run a marathon. Marathon was a 4-letter word to me. I never possibly thought how somebody could run for that long and not die of boredom. And yet every time I step into that uncertainty, every time I step into fear, every time I do something uncomfortable, you literally and truly redefine the space that you live in. It opens up endless possibilities. Do one thing you don't think you can do. One thing. It doesn't have to be huge. You all of a sudden it's like, oh, I can't do that because, oh no, wait, yes, I can. And if I can do this, why can't I do that? What else can I do?
It's so true. And I mean, I love this message also for the young minds or who are watching, the young people. You can do anything. You can change. You can make a difference. You can inspire. You can create. You can manifest. Like the young minds, I have teenagers myself. So I'm so motivated by inspiring them that anything and everything is absolutely possible. You just got to go after it and decide that you're the person who wants to make it come to life. I love those suggestions. I'm with you. Getting up early is also so great. If you make the day before the day begins and you get your work done, or you get some exercise in, or you meditate or do self-care, that's so powerful, because however the rest of the day unravels, you had your morning time for you. Of course, setting an alarm clock. I always tell my kids, never press snooze. Like, set the alarm clock and get up. Don't press snooze. It's the worst thing you can do. What else you got for us? Any other tips or strategies?
Absolutely. Embrace community, because I didn't make this decision on my own. I had friends, I had a network. I had people who wanted to do things, who wanted to challenge me. Okay. I'll give you another example of something. And that wasn't the first time I said yes to something uncomfortable. It was just the first true impact to my life. You know, I grew up on an island, but I'm not much of a fisherman. Despite the fact that I like doing badass stuff and getting out in the world, I like coming back to a nice comfy bed. I like taking a nice shower. I'm almost 45 years old and I have sleep apnea. I don't like bunking with a couple of guys anymore. Okay. But a friend of mine asked me to go on a fishing trip to the Keys with him. Okay, cool. We spent 3 hours out on the boat. When the boat broke down, we were 30 miles from Cuba. We had to wait hours for a sea tow to come out there. We dropped a line in the water and caught like a 6-foot brown shark. So that took up about 45 minutes. We let him go. The guys were bored. I was loving the adventure. This was all new experience to me, and it was bonding with other guys. And you know what? It wasn't so bad to sleep on a couch for one night of my life for a new experience. It's say yes to things, build a community, hang out with your friends, get out of the silo. Create for yourself these comfort zones. I don't have the same blanket I did when I was 7 years old. I have finally accepted the fact that I will not be the starting second baseman for the Boston Red Sox. I once thought I was going to be this sales guru. I don't want to be that guy anymore. Okay. We go through these phases of our life. We don't have to protect what we did. We are meant to grow, meant to learn, meant to explore, meant to do new things. If you're living the same life that you were 20 years ago, 10 years ago, a year ago, I want to preface, if you're actually happy, just hit pause right now and you can pick this episode back up when you need it. But I think most people will find that they have a moment, just like I did, where I thought I was comfortable. Comfort is a liar. When I was 240 pounds, which is about 55 pounds more than I am right now, I thought I was comfortable. When I was in a job that was dead end for me, I thought I was comfortable. When I was in a relationship, a bad relationship that was too long, I thought I was comfortable. Comfort is a liar. We have to make uncomfortable steps in order to seek comfort with who we are. And that's what life is. That's what living is. And it's okay for those who can do that independently, but I think it helps to have a community. Plus, also, it's accountability. It's making sure that you're part of something. Everyone needs a wolf pack. Everyone needs a tribe. I spent the first 3.5 decades of my life trying to think how independent and tough and I don't need anybody and blah, blah, blah. But you just wall yourself off from all the awesomeness that is available to you. I thrive when I am a part of something bigger than myself. And that's why part of my mission now, I thrive because the people that I'm talking to are people like me. And the people that I race alongside are people like me. And we're all in this together. And it's just such a great shot of humanity, of people who are struggling with life. Life doesn't stop.
It's true.
I just gave you the highlights from version 1 of Nick. I didn't even talk about the stuff that I've encountered in the last 5 years. We'll talk about that next year, next time.
Yeah, next season. We got it. I love it. I love it. And you are so right.
Is
Life is going to keep happening to us. It's so true. It's how we handle it and what we do with it that makes a difference. Keep going. You keep going. You're doing great.
All right. And this is one that gets lost. All right. And this is what I work with my clients on, because to take action towards your goals, to take action, right? We do need a purpose. Now, if you look at someone like David Goggins, he's out there saying, hey, you just need to be savage all the time. No purpose, no date on the calendar. You know what? That works for him. That's great. It doesn't. I need a date on the calendar. But resilience thrives when there is a deep sense of purpose. And the thing is, again, if you're talking to a kid out of school, I'll put it this way. How many conversations you have with someone, and I'll say as an adult, and they're like, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to be when I grow up. It's the wrong question. Your profession is not who you are. Mm-hmm. Who am I going to be when I grow up? Who do I want to be at this phase of my life? So what I'm working with people on is to help them articulate a purpose for this phase of their life. Now, I'm lucky. My purpose literally hit me in the middle of the night. Or, okay, fine, it was morning when I was training. My purpose is to overcome every obstacle and inspire others that they can too. So I look at it like a game now. When I lost my job in October, I didn't cry. I became a motivational speaker, something I was going to do a year later, the next day. All right. When I hurt my hamstring in a race last October, I came home and I said, after my 1 day of sulking, I said, okay, I get to learn how to overcome a hamstring injury now. It doesn't matter what you're doing. What matters is why you're doing it. I talk often about a race that I was in 2 years ago, where I broke my rib in the 3rd mile of an 8-mile obstacle course race. And I finished the race. I finished dead last. It was the most excruciating, one of, if not the most excruciating experience I'd ever had. And here's what you got to understand about racing. I am not an elite athlete. I do not win these things. Nobody in the world was going to care if I quit that race. They wouldn't even have known. And I could have obviously let myself off the hook for such a huge injury. But here's the part of the story I didn't tell you. That was the first time I raced with F cancer written across my chest. You just can't go quitting things when you have that written across your chest. And it wasn't for me. All right. It was for friends of mine who had recently been diagnosed and they were struggling. And I didn't know what to do. I wanted to let them know that they weren't alone. And that's all I could think to do. I took the Sharpie out that morning and F you cancer. And about 2 minutes before the start of the race, and this is a kid-friendly event, so I was a little apprehensive about putting an F-bomb on my chest. And a man and his young son walked up to me, and I was kind of thinking he was gonna say something about the swear word. No, they thanked me. He had lost his wife recently to breast cancer, and everybody thanked me and cheered me and high-fived me. And it wasn't so much me, it was the cause. And so, yeah, I was in excruciating amount of pain. But as I told myself, it's not for you, it's for them. And we need to keep moving forward. This applies to anything in our life. In the last 2 years, I was languishing at my job in logistics. Languishing because I knew I wanted to do this. I knew I wanted to serve a greater purpose. So I found a way to use that as a vehicle to help me reach it. And realizing that every interaction I have with a human being, whether it be a sales call, a sales rejection, a conversation with a peer, a boss, is an opportunity for me to help somebody. It's an opportunity for me to help learn. It's an opportunity for me to help practice. And so even though I hated what I was doing as far as a day job was concerned, I killed it. Like, I worked harder than all the other people in that capacity because it wasn't, I was not trying to sell logistics. I was not trying to build a company. I wasn't trying to help customers. I wanted to do this. And that's what was going to get me there. It doesn't matter what you're doing. What matters is why you're doing it. And for the people listening who think, wow, I couldn't do all that physical stuff. If your kids were on the other side of that fire, I bet you could.
Mm. Well said. Well said. And so when you go in a Spartan race, you run through actual fire?
There's the last obstacle in every fire jump, pretty much not in California. I'm sorry, in every race not in California is an actual fire jump. You jump over blazing flames of fire. Now, they're usually they're flying pretty high in the beginning. They die down a little bit. Sometimes they get them going again, but I mean, like if you step in it, you're stepping into a fire pit, and it's not hard. It's not like a hard obstacle. It's a photo op.
But it's amazing because you come through it and you're like, I have my superhero cape tied around my neck and I'm going to do this. And I just achieved it, and great success. You know, Nick, you have been such a delight to talk to today. I've just been listening in awe, fully motivated, totally inspired. You hit it nail on the head for today's conversation. And what you really showed is when someone becomes motivated, inspired, and really passionate about what they do, they ignite others. I'm sure every single person who's watching the show feels ignited, feels like the ignition has been turned on in their life and they can go after it. And folks, that will absolutely ignite humanity. Nick, thanks so much for being here. We're going to put up your website. If folks want to find out more about Nick, please go to stridemotivation.com, learn about what Nick is up to, see if you can race beside him, and really do what you can to ignite humanity. Thanks, Nick, for being here. Blessings and blessings. I'm super excited to book you for next season.
Awesome.
Take care.
Thanks for having me.
You're absolutely. Wow. I'm just feeling on fire. I love that. I love that. Nick had so many great nuggets to share, so many great things to inspire. And what I love so much is that every single time, maybe it seemed like an adversity, but actually he used it to be something to encourage him and push him forward. And he's right. We don't all have to be super athletes and super athletic. We all have our gifts and talents in our own way. And my favorite thing that he said is, you don't have to win. You don't have to crush it. You don't have to be the person at the front. You absolutely just have to be the person inside of you who wants to get to the finish line. And I just want a big shout out to my husband. Every single summer, he cycles with me on the bike, thousands and thousands of kilometers. We don't race, we ride, we enjoy, and we get there. We raise money for charity, and it truly is a powerful way to ignite humanity. Well, if you want to know more what we're up to, check out our website, ignitehumanity.life. All kinds of things happening over there. We're doing a compilation book with Ignite Moment stories in it called Ignite Humanity. We'd love for you to be a part of it and share your Ignite moment. We also are doing an incredible event in Las Vegas, May 16th and 17th. If you'd like to join our community, be a part of our tribe, just like Nick said, be around people who are like-minded, who are enthusiastic, heart-centered, making things happen on the planet, please come to Gatherama May 16th and 17th in Las Vegas and share your story, talk, meet, connect with other people, and work on your business, your brand, your book, and that wonderful breakthrough that's going to get you up off the couch and moving. All right, blessings to you, everyone. Have a great day, and we shall see you tomorrow.
Now, more than ever, we need to come together to connect with one another. We need to feel the truth in who we are and let go of everything that's happened in the past. We need to empower every person on the planet and awaken hearts, enliven souls, come together, laugh, play, rejoice, connect, create, and love. It's time to ignite humanity. We want you to be a part of something that will impact the future for everyone. We want you to tell your story, share your Ignite moment, show people who you truly are. Be a part of igniting humanity and making a difference in the world and all of our futures.